ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ka Khalsa, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ji ki Fateh. Welcome to the segment of Coach Gurbani's a-sabad-a-day. Our recitation is from Gauri Mahalla Panjwa and is as follows. Gauri Mahalla Panjwa, Har Simrat Sabh Miteh Kales, Charan Kamal Man Meh Parves, उच्च रहो राम नाम लखबारी, अमृत रस पीवो प्रभ प्यारी रहो। सुख सहज रस महा आनंद, जप जप जीवे परमानंद। काम क्रोध लोभ मद खोए, साध कै संग किल बिख सब धोए। कर कृपा प्रभ दीन दयाला, नानक दीजै साध रवाला। कर कृपा प्रभ दीन दयाला, नानक दीजै साध रवाला. In this passage, the Guru talks again about kaleshas, kalesh, defiling qualities of the mind, and how sounding of Gurbani can actually evolve us past these defiling qualities of the mind. Let's see how the Guru explains it to us. He begins by saying, Har Simrat Sabh Miteh Kales, Charan Kamal Man Meh Parves. So we have to understand Charan Kamal, Har Simrat, Kalesh. So Kalesh collectively refers to a state of misery that is occasioned by undesirable qualities, qualities that defile the mind. When we say defile the mind, it means making the mind unstable, wavering, which causes angst. So that's the state of the mind that we ordinarily live with. So there is a list of specific kleshas, if you will, or undesirable qualities that are listed out. But in Sikhi, these corrupting tendencies are generally 5. They're referred to as the 5 evils, the 5 thieves, and they are Kam, sensuality, Krodh, anger, Lobh, avarice, Moh, attachment, and Ahankar, self-conceit. At Charan Kamal, in the Indian traditions, refers to the lotus feet of Vishnu. But in Sikhi, it has come to signify self-knowledge, the innate and immutable wisdom. Because Charan, from Chara, which we will see, means movement, pervasiveness. Kamal is symbolic of the inner essence, the self. So therefore, by remembrance of the Har Self, do you reach the self, really is the message. But the Guru here is saying, by remembrance of the Har Self, Har Simrat, my misery came to an end. Sabh Kalesh, Sabh Miteh Kalesh, Kalesh dur ho gaye. The manifest presence of the Har Self, Charan Kamal, came to abide in my heart. Man meh parvesh, parvesh, entering. So when we engage in the practice of Simran, then that gradually stabilizes the mind from its conditioning and moves it from the gross to the subtle. So the Guru, therefore, enjoins us. He says, Uchroho Ram Naam Lakhabari, Amrit Ras Pivo Prabh Pyari. And he's speaking in the first person here. He says, I articulate Uchroho, the knowledge of Ram's self, continuously, 100,000 times. And I drink the life-giving nectar of the beloved Prabh wisdom. So what he's saying here is that I am training my mind ceaselessly, continuously, by absorbing the revitalizing, life-giving knowledge of the self, and that is what we need to do. So Lakhabari, we'll see in Gurbani, these expressions can be taken literally or they can be taken as figures of speech without really contradicting one another. So let's see how Uchroho and Lakhabari can be used in that sense. So Uchroho is from the word Ucharan. When we say Ucharan, conversationally or colloquially, it is used for pronunciation, for articulation, and so when you enunciate something, you are doing Ucharan. But if you examine the etymology of this word, which comes from the Sanskrit prefix ud, and the word charan or char, you will see that there is a subtle meaning here too. So let's look at ud. Ud is usually a prefix that is affixed to verbs and nouns, and it signifies an upward movement. Moving up, moving upwards, moving over. And charan is a root sound that comes from char, meaning pervasiveness. So when you put the two together, Ucharan can also means to move up, an upward movement of the mind. So when we read this verse, we can read it in both senses. The physical act of recitation or enunciating Gurbani, and a movement upward of the mind towards the manifest self-knowledge, because self-knowledge is already innate to us. So the two are related. So we see here the association of sounding or singing with movement that suggests that this is a living experience. So sound facilitates an upward movement of the mind from haume to hukam, if you will. And so the Guru says, do this. Engage with sound. And sound here is Gurbani. Because gur, the very word gur means to make a sound. Sukh, Sahaj, Ras, Mahananda. Now here's the result of doing that. These are phases. Sukh, just happiness, leading to Sahaj, which is a state of natural spontaneity. You fall into a natural ease. It just happens. It's like falling into sleep. You don't actually will yourself into sleep. You fall into sleep. So likewise, Sukh appears spontaneously, and that is a powerful experience. Ras Maha Ananda, Ananda bliss, it's a blissful experience. And Jap Jiva Paramananda. So it has the same connotation as Uchro again. Sounding is movement. So it's leading you to that supreme state. You start with happiness. You become spontaneously easy without, there is an equipoise of the mind, leads to Ananda, and Ananda then leads you to Paramananda. So if you think of it that way. And what happens along with that spontaneously is Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Mad Khoy. Now these are the Kaleshas that the Guru is talking about, the defiling qualities of the mind. What he says is, as I do jap jap jive, Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Mad Khoy, I begin to lose lust, anger, greed, and ignorance. Mad is to be intoxicated in ignorance, nescience. It disappears. And how does that happen? Because sadke sang kelbek sab toye, I washed them off under the tutelage of the sad. The sad, an adjective for the accomplished one, which is the Guru. So under the tutelage of the Guru, I washed off the defilement of my mind. That is, its tendencies towards sensuality. Not that sensuality is bad, it's this addiction, addictive narcissistic behavior, anger, avarice. Those are the things that have to be washed off. And so therefore, the prayer that Guru Nanak, through Guru Arjan, provides is Kar Kirpa Prabh Deen Dayala Nanak Dija Sadharavala. Says Nanak, give me the company of the accomplished one, the Sad, so that I may receive the compassionate, merciful Prabh wisdom. That is the quality of this wisdom, that it's merciful and compassionate. Why? Because it relieves you of your existential angst. On that note, until the next time, Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.